Hey everyone, it's Philip with the Everyday Fighter podcast, and I wanted to welcome you to this episode. Today we are talking with Matt Oyler. Matt, man, this was a great interview too. I know I say that every single episode, but I really enjoyed this one, primarily there's a lot of great stuff in there, but Matt had so much energy. He's just excited. He's passionate about life. He's passionate about what he's doing. He started off with martial arts at a young age, ended up abandoning that for dreams of going to the NFL. Unfortunately, he had some challenges with that, and he had to abandon that dream of his. Ended up having some really big challenges with back pain and obesity. Managed to overcome that and become an amateur MMA fighter. Now he's a motivational speaker. He's helping athletes and young athletes just become better. And it's just amazing what he's doing, and I just love his story. I hope that you love it as well, as you listen to it. But before we get into that, I wanted to put a spotlight on something that's pretty near to my heart, and that is a website called the Good Dad Project. The gentleman that started that his name is Larry Hagner. Amazing guy. What he did was he set up a community for dads, a place where dads could get together and know that they're not alone in their struggles as parents, as husbands, as people that are just trying to become better men, better for the people that are important to them in their lives. And what he's done with his podcast, the Dad Edge podcast, and his group, the Dad Edge Alliance, is just amazing. If you are a father, I highly encourage you to check them out. Just go to thegooddadproject.com. If you're looking to better yourself as a husband, a father, just as a human being, it's a good place to go. I can't recommend them highly enough. So check them out. And with that, let's get into the interview with Matt Oyler. Start from the beginning, man. Let's let these people know about Matt Oyler, man. What's going on?
Just jump right into it.
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
Well, I grew up in Utah, in Ogden, Utah. It was a pretty typical childhood. There was nothing really too, I didn't have, our family wasn't rich. We were definitely poor. But we weren't, I always had a roof over my head. I always had, I was always taken care of. Food on the table was always there. But, we didn't have a lot of nice things. There was no vacations. There was nothing like that. It was just kind of our imagination was kind of what got us through our childhood, a few toys and a bunch of kids in the neighborhood. And so, it was a good time. It was strange. Sometimes I talk and it sounds like I was, the poorest kid in the world. And then other times I talk and everyone's like, you had a great childhood. Cause it kind of was that mixture of just sometimes it was rough and it was hard. And then other times it was just easy. There was a ton of kids that were all mine, my brother and my sister's age. And so all my brother's friends were my friends. All my sister's friends were my friends. And there was just this pack of wild children running around Roy, Utah. And so that was kind of the picture of my childhood. It was fun. We had a lot of fun, but there was a lot of hard times. We definitely had to work for what we wanted. And if we wanted to get something done, if we wanted to build something, if we wanted to play with something, we had to work for it. We had to mow lawns, or we had to go build it ourselves. So it taught all of us to be kind of hard workers, or we weren't going to get what we wanted.
Yeah.
And that's when I started martial arts. Was when I was, I think 5. I started doing karate, and it was crap. I mean, my my.
Tell us how you really feel, Matt.
Yeah. No, my sensei was just a dirtbag, and
Well, let
I
me
don't
ask
know.
you though, like, was it your idea to get into the karate, or what? Like your parents said, "Hey, you're going in this class." What was that like?
I think my brother had gotten into it and was friends with the teacher, the instructor's son.
Okay.
And so they were kind of like, yeah, let's do karate together. My mom's like, well, it's a good thing for the kids. It's good for everyone to learn self-defense. So yeah, so they got me and my sister involved with it, but they both bounced out quick. And I was like, nah, I'm going to stick with this for a bit. I kind of like it. And so back then I didn't know that my instructor was a piece of crap. It was later on in life. I was like, wow, this guy.
I guess that's the question is like, you stuck with it, but did you know at the time what you were
No, it's
in?
only later I found out he was a total charlatan and false whatever. But, so that was kind of my introduction into martial arts. And, a lot of my stance that I use today was based off of what I learned in my karate stance. I've adjusted it quite a bit, but my attacks are kind of unique because it comes from a karate stance rather than like a traditional boxing stance or kickboxing stance. So I did get some good stuff out of it. I did enjoy it. I loved it. And I did it till I was about 8, and then I stopped. And that's when I picked up football.
Oh, okay.
And I ran with football. Yeah. I mean, that was my bread and butter. I would go to when I was in junior high, I'd go to high school camps. When I was in high school, I'd go to college camps. Like I was always trying to be the next level above in playing football. And I was a lot bigger back then. I was a big boy growing up. I was heavy. Okay. I was pretty overweight. So I was an offensive and defensive lineman. And that was the plan, man. The plan was to go to the NFL.
Really?
That was oh yeah, I had no plan B. When people would say, "What are you going to do?" I would say, "I'm going to play in the NFL." Now, granted, I'm 5'9", and I was probably like I graduated high school at 240. So the NFL was probably not like really on the horizon. But that was my mentality. I was like, I'm going to the NFL, and everyone's like, well, what if you don't make it? I was like, there's no plan B. That's what I'm going to do. That's where I'm going to go with my life. Is I'm going to play in the NFL. So my senior year of high school, I was. It was in a camp. It was in the camp before the season even started. It was with the team, and I remember just like my leg was bothering me, and like just down my left leg, like where my hamstring area, there's always like this constant just ache. And I remember asking the coach, I was like, hey, because I was in my position, we would run like a quick side, strong side offense. So meaning if there was a guard that was pulling, it was me. And so I would either be pulling to the left or to the right. And I just told him, hey, can we have fewer plays where I pull to the right? Because I don't like to push off my left leg because it's causing me some pain. And he, of course, was like, no, we're not going to change our game plan. You just got to deal with it. So I was
Suck it up, man.
Yeah. I don't care. You're out here. Okay. So, I stuck with it and played the whole year and ended the year and found out that I had 3 herniated discs and 2 of them had ruptured. And I'd played the entire year with that. So that was kind of the end of what I thought was the end of my athletic career. I went to the doctor and he was like, you're not playing football anymore. And
well, I mean, in terms of just in the short term or at all?
At all. He's like, your back a lot of people have this. It's called degenerative back disorder or degenerative disc disorder. A lot of people actually have that. That's why so many people have back problems. We don't know. They don't know what causes it, but because I am one that has it, it just means my discs are not good for taking a lot of beating. and football is a lot of beating, especially on offensive and defensive line. It's constant. So I went and I had a surgery when I was 19 that actually made it worse. They didn't do a fuse. They didn't do, what he did is he went in and he kind of just shaved the part off of the disc that he thought was pushing up against the nerve. And then he sealed it up, but that didn't do anything. I still had, so what I had back then was just a pain down my left leg. After the surgery, I had a pain down my left leg and back pain. Like it started to cause back pain at that point. So, yeah, I was at 19. And so pretty much from 19, I don't want to jump too far ahead. We can get to what happened, how I fixed it later. But from 19 until about 32, 31, I had constant pain.
Wow.
Just every morning, every night, all day, every day, pain in my back and pain down my left leg. So, yeah. So that was the end of kind of my football career. But again, like, going back to my childhood, like that, I guess I kind of just learned, it didn't like ruin me to figure out that I was done playing football. Like, I had that plan. That was my plan. And somehow in my life, I've developed the ability to just like commit to something 100%. This is my plan. And then it doesn't work out. And I just go right on to the next plan.
You're not wallowing.
No. I mean, I kind of did as far as like athletic goes, because I was just like, oh man, I love being an athlete. I love competing. Like, where can I find that? I became a master racquetball player. I would destroy people on the racquetball court, mostly like really old guys. And I would just go in, and like, because I was super overweight, they would expect me to, because I was overweight, they would expect me to like be slow, but I was an athlete still. And so they would be like trying to just like slow play it. And I would just be like bouncing around.
Yeah.
That was like my claim to fame, is I was like the fast, fat kid. Like I just could move really well, and everyone would always be so blown away. And so, yeah, and I just would pick up little sports like that. Me and my friends invented this like insane kickball league that like, it's not kickball, but that's the closest thing you could associate the sport with, was kickball. But it's its own game. We had like this league of like 200 people, and we play it all the time. And it was called Anka. Don't ask me where the name. Well, I know where the name came from, but I can't remember what the acronym is now. But
okay.
Yeah, but so I mean, yeah, I always stayed competitive, but man, I just didn't have that real competitive. Like it was like indoor soccer leagues and stuff like that, but there's nothing really at risk. There's no real, like, you're not really training for it. You just gather together and you get that little like, this is competitive, this is nice, but it's not that real competitive nature that I got playing football, that I grew up my entire life loving. So I needed to find that, and it took me a long time. From 19 till I didn't take my first fight till I was 30. And so that whole time was basically just a time of me just trying to figure out what the hell I was doing.
And you were in pain most of that time, right?
The entire time.
You had back pain, and
the entire time.
So, how do you handle that? Yeah, like you're taking medication through the whole time, or you just like kind of like, let me just forget it, let me power through, let me just try to ignore it as much as possible? What? Yeah,
power through. Power through is my mentality with pretty much everything I do in life. I don't like medication. I knew at a young age how dangerous how dangerous medication can be if you just self-medicate all the time. And I had a lot of my brother's friends get addicted to drugs. A lot of my friends became addicted to drugs. One of my best friends through high school became addicted to opiates, had to go to rehab. And so I knew the dangers in that. And so I just was like, as long as I can stand up and walk, I'll just power through it. And I would do lots of different like back exercises. And I would like, my dad is the master at research. Like he's an accountant. So he's just a total nerd. Okay. And so he just would be like, hey, I heard of this new procedure, or I heard of this new, like, treatment. And so I went and I did everything. I did, it's like a traction machine, they just stretch your whole spine out. And on this, they just stretch the discs that they thought were causing the problem. So they could isolate and only do 2 or 3 discs at a time. I did that, and that would relieve me a little bit of pain for like a week or two. Not completely eliminate it, but relieve a lot of the pain. I did acupuncture. I've done, numerous like heating and icing methods, and I've done it all, man. I did it all. Like just morning exercises every single morning, get up, do these certain kind of stretches.
But you weren't doing it like, I've got this pain, and then when you say, some people will hear power through and just like, I'm just ignoring it, I'm just going to keep on doing what you were still looking for ways to kind of, to alleviate, to kind of, let's see if we can do it to make it better. And at the same time, I still want to be able to enjoy myself. I still got stuff inside me that I want to let out a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was constantly like, I just had my ear to the pipeline the whole time. Like any new little treatment, I was like, hey, Dad, is this any legit? Is there any or he would come to me and be like, hey, because imagine being a dad, your kid is literally in pain 24/7. Like at times, like hunched over, dragging my left foot got to the point where I'd just be dragging it behind me in most of my steps. And it was, my dad was just always, and he was more diligent than me at finding stuff. And he would just call me up like, hey, I found this new thing. You want to try it? And I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. So, I did it all. I guess just to close this story off, what I ended up doing was getting a procedure called a rhizotomy. And what that procedure is, didn't fix anything. My back is still bad, but what they do is they go in basically with a needle and they put the needle right on the nerve and they burn the nerve. They just sever it and make it, and it just goes numb. And it was the procedure was all of 5 minutes. It took them 5 minutes to do it. They didn't put me under. I just go and I lay down on a table. They put a needle and they hit 3 different nerves because they could tell through the testing that they did, because they have to go in beforehand and they do it with just a numbing agent, for insurance reasons and to make sure that they're getting the right one. Right. So they go and they did that. I went in two times. They numbed it. They said, yeah, this looks like the right ones to do. I go in 5 minutes. Doctor goes bloop, bloop, bloop with the needle in my back 3 times. And 15 minutes or 5 minutes after like 15 years of pain, I was completely pain-free. Like I went to the gym 20 minutes later and did a full workout.
I mean, what was that like?
Dude, I cried. I'm not a real crier.
Yeah.
Definitely things get me. I'm not like a tough guy, but it takes certain things to make me cry, but this made me bawl because I think it was like 13 or 15 years that I counted that it was just immense pain. It was just, like I said, dragging my foot on the floor behind me. Like, and anybody who has back pain knows exactly what I'm talking about. Like, it's just, it doesn't go away. There's no alleviating it. And when you do, the things that you have to do is just like not move. And that's not my lifestyle. I'm just not someone who's just not going to move. So it's like, that was never a solution. Like I remember one time, my back would be bad, or then it would get worse. It would be like, I would be bedridden almost. And I remember like one time I was just going playing basketball and I just did a layup. I didn't land on it funny. I didn't do anything crazy. I just a regular layup. And my back went out, and I was like talking to my dad, and he's like, well, it looks like you're done playing basketball. And I'm like, no, that's not the life I'm going to live. I'm not going to not play basketball. I'm not going to not play sports. Like, I will deal with the month of laying in bed if I get to enjoy 6 months of playing a sport that I enjoy. Like, I'm not going to be a vegetable. That's not how I'm going to live my life. And so, yeah, I went and got the rhizotomy. And like I said, I bawled in the car on the way to the gym, and then I went and had the best workout that, I could have. I think I did a lot more cardio just because I was still kind of like, I don't know if this is going to set. I wasn't doing like heavy lifting, but I ran. I was Forrest Gump. I just kept running and running and running and running and running. And I just felt so good. I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. So that was probably, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years ago. And they regenerate, your nerves regenerate. So I will have to get it again.
Oh,
but
okay.
you just go and get it again.
Yeah.
And some people, it lasted for 7 years. One guy I talked to, the guy that told me about it, his lasted for 7 years and he was great. One guy only lasted for 3 years. It just depends on how quick your nerves regenerate. It's almost been 2 years now. And there's moments that I'm like, ooh, maybe I should go get it done again because I'll start to feel it. Just from doing wrestling with my teammates a lot will cause it to get kind of stiff and sore, but it's never a pain that shoots down my leg. It's never compared to what it was. It never gets there. And now, so when I do that, I can take some ibuprofen or some Bayer and I'll be good for the day. But it's never like a constant thing I have to do. It's just like maybe 1 or 2 days I'll take it. And so I don't know when I'm gonna have to get it again. I definitely will have to get it again. But anybody who's listening to this who suffers from back pain, go get a rhizotomy. I don't know how to spell it, so I'm not even gonna try.
We'll figure it out, man.
Back pain reliever rhizotomy. Right. I don't know, whatever you want. Google it.
So you got this procedure done. Just the possibilities have got to just open up for you at that point. So what's going through your mind now? What steps do you actually take after that?
Well, what's funny is that I had already decided when I was fighting, when I fought, I had the back pain. The night before my, first fight, I slept on the floor of the hotel room because I was in that much pain. I'm about to go do this physical endeavor and I'm having to sleep on the floor because I had so much pain in my back. And so I had the surgery and I was like, damn, I'm going to be a good fighter now. If I did what I did with that pain, imagine what I'm going to be without it. Yeah. But my life took a different course. And so I decided that I wasn't going to fight myself. I wasn't going to be a fighter myself. I was going to help train all of my teammates. That was where my mentality came. So I just thought, man, with this ability, I literally can become the best training partner that they've ever seen. I will always be in shape. I will always be ready to go. I will never, I won't, I don't have to worry about cutting. I don't have to worry about all that. I will always be you call me up and I'm there. You say, let's get some sparring in and I'm there. Let's get some wrestling in and I'm there. And for me, that is big. That is big to be able to be there for somebody. So they don't have to have a second guess or a second thought of, is Matt going to show up and is he going to be ready? Is he going to push me? Is he going to challenge me? They know when I show up, it's a grind. It's time to go. And so that's kind of where I went with it. I was just that was where my mentality went, was oh, wow. Now I can really get in good shape and I can really help these guys out.
That's really interesting, man. And I definitely want to go back a little bit more, but just on this particular point, being so competitive all through your, adolescent years, teenage years, particularly in your passion for football, and you just had a feeling of competition.
Yeah.
Now you've got a new lease.
Yeah.
And now you don't continue with that passion.
Because the competitive nature has transferred into a business. And I understand that I'm a complete psycho when I put my mind to something. And so when I was training for my fight, it was 7 days a week, 2 times a day at the gym. I won because I put in more work than my opponent. I would not be outworked. I had, there was no chance he had because of the work, the amount of time I put into it. And fighting is a very selfish sport. It is very time consuming. And you have to be, and for me, my teammates, they can get a call in a weekend and be like, hey, we got a fight coming up. And they'll be like, okay, I'm there. I'm in, sign me up. I am much more cerebral. I need to plan it out. I need to be prepared for it. And so it takes, and so I need like a full camp of training twice a week, and I just don't have the time for that. I work 70 hours a week right now. I clock in for 70 hours a week. And then I have my daughter all the time. Me and my ex-wife have split, but we're really great co-parents. And so I have my daughter almost every single day for at least a few hours. And then I'm starting my own business. And so I just was like, something has to take a back seat. And me being selfish and fighting, I had to weigh the pros and cons. I'm 33 years old. How much money is in fighting? How much, can I make doing this? How much can, and so for me, actually going in and stepping in the ring, as much as I love the competition, I still feel that competition with my teammates. And I get that every day. I get that every week. Like, to me, it's not that wasn't the grand finale. That wasn't the thing that I loved. Getting in the ring and winning was awesome. And having all those people look at me felt great. But that wasn't where my passion was. My passion is going in and training every single week and getting the better of my teammates. These guys who know me, because that's harder. It's harder to get the better of your teammates than it is to get the better of your opponent, because your teammates know you. They know what you're going to throw. They know your style. Sometimes we get in a rhythm where we can't punch each other because we know what the other guys do. I know so-and-so's speed. I know so-and-so's a wrestler. I know these things. And so I can defend against those. So it's a lot more competitive when you have a teammate that you're as close with as we are, because we really have to get creative. We really have to think, can I catch him with this? When you're fighting an opponent, they don't know everything you have in your tool belt. My teammates know everything I have in my tool belt. So in order for me to catch them, I have to get creative. And so for me, that's all the competition I need. That's all the competition I need right now. And then in a business sense, I'm out there grinding. It's the same mentality. It's the same. I'm a psycho. Like I said, when I put my mind to something, I'm a psycho about it. And I'm psycho about my business right now. And things are going good. Things are going good for it because I'm a psycho.
Well, you talked before about, after football was done for you, you're still doing, taking pickup games and club sports and that type of thing. But it really wasn't giving you, your kind of competitive fix. But then now when you're talking about training, just training with your team, that gave it to you. That it's like when you talk about those other things, the thing that it sounds like it didn't have was the stakes or dedication.
I think that's it. Obviously there's stakes. Getting punched in the head a lot is not good for your brain. And so I want to avoid that as much as possible.
But in terms of saying you're doing, a club soccer or something like that,
right.
Different stakes involved in that, compared to actually, even training, with your teammates in an MMA, fighting type setting.
No, I think for me, so now when I look at it as, okay, well, my job here is to get these guys better. Indoor soccer, none of those guys are going to get called up to the MLS, and me being their teammate is not going to make them benefit.
Okay.
But me going in with Dom Jarrow and grinding him out and putting him through, hell, is going to make him better, and he has potential to go to the UFC. He has potential to go to the next level. So there are things at stake now because these guys that I'm training with are actually trying to go somewhere with it. Slow pitch softball, I'm sorry. If you tell me you're going to the world championship of slow pitch softball, I'm going to laugh at you and be like, that's nothing. That means you're playing like the worst version of this sport. Yeah. The ball's bigger. It's thrown slower. Like, I'm not impressed.
Yeah.
So, I think the competitive nature comes like, if I really give these guys a challenge, they become better, and now they have an opportunity to actually go somewhere.
Yes. It means a lot more in that context.
Yeah.
And if you can make an effect on that positively in some way for them, that's a big driver.
Yeah. I've told my teammates a million times, I want I want them to be able to say, yeah, the best fighter in our gym doesn't even fight. He's just our training partner. Like, and so that's my goal, is to be the best fighter in the gym and to make each one of them better. Like, I go to jiu-jitsu classes that are outside of our gym and to train with them, to learn stuff, to bring it back and train them and hopefully put it on them first and then teach it to them. Like I travel around a lot, just to take things back to my guys. Cause I want them to be the best. I mean, the way I see it is, when they win, I win. You know, when like we had a, let's see, it was just maybe only a month ago. So we had my coach, the MMA coach who got me into MMA, he passed away. And they held a memorial card for him. And so all of the guys were on the card, and I cornered almost every single one of them. And when they won, 3 out of the 4 won. When they won, I felt like I just won. Like I was in there like, yeah, like jumping up and down, because I felt like I just won. So if I can get that benefit from like 5 or 6 or 7 fighters that I train with, it's better than me going in, twice a year, 3 times a year and getting it on my own, and it did. It was weird. Like, I definitely get a lot of enjoyment of watching the people that I train with and the people that I work with be successful. I'm a team player all the way.
Well, let's go back a bit though, because I mean, you spent 3 years with traditional kind of karate, as a kid.
Yeah.
Did the football thing for a bit. How did you find yourself back in martial arts, in the fight game?
Yeah. Like I said, so after I was done playing football, I said I graduated high school at 240 pounds. I had gotten up to 280 pounds. And it was bad. There's obviously no self-esteem at that point.
Couple that with the pain that you were feeling as well.
And and being in pain all the time. And just like, I was so afraid of being alone, because you think you're overweight, you're going to be alone. No one wants to date a fat guy. And so it was just like, because I had no self-esteem. That was just my mentality. So it was just snowballing. It's like, no one wants to be with me. So, might as well give up. But I want acceptance. I want people to love me. And so I would just like put myself in these groups of friends that were just like terrible friends that, would just, like, I literally had a friend tell me, dude, you're like a dog. Like, I could beat you and you'd still be loyal to me. Like, literally, that was what he said to me. Like, and I was just like, yeah. In my mind, I was like, yeah, that's good. I'm loyal. I'm a good friend. And I had no self-esteem. It was bad.
Was he saying that to you in a way that was, he's making fun of you, or was he saying that to you in a way that was trying to wake you up?
It was not trying to wake me up.
Okay.
It was in a way that he was just verbalizing his feelings towards me. Was just like, dude, like, he even said, it was like, it sounds bad, but honestly, like, I know that there's nothing at risk with you. Like, I could do whatever I wanted and you're still just going to be there. And it wasn't like, but when he said, like, you're like a dog, like I could beat you and you're still going to like be loyal to me. I was like, that don't sound good. That's not good. That's not good at all. So yeah. And then I went to Universal Studios and I was going to get on one of the roller coasters, and I was too fat to ride in the regular seats. I had to sit in the extender seats. And like,
they had seats specifically for,
they
were larger.
Yes. Yeah. They have larger seats with, bigger seat belts and, everything. And it's a whole row. So like, you get on that row and it's all overweight people. And me and my brother both like had to sit in these seats. And so we like took a picture next to that sign. And that's a picture I use for a lot of my motivational speaking to show how big I was. I was walking around the park just so depressed that day. And I'm like, that person's bigger than I am. Like, how are they? They're a lot bigger than I am. How are they like enjoying their time here? Because they can't get on anything. And I was like, what are they like? What is going on? Like, how I'm that big that the world has to accommodate for me. that the world has to like make special. I'm that big. Like, I didn't know. I didn't realize I was that big. Because everyone always just, whenever I made comments about being fat, everyone would just be like, no, you're a football player. You're built. Because I was like evenly proportionate. Like, I wasn't like, I had a big belly, but everything on me was big. So they're just like, you just look like a football player. I'm like, yeah, but I'm 5'9" and I don't play football. So I shouldn't look like a lineman, So that trip really like started weighing on me, like my mind, that I needed to change something. And I just started thinking about it. So that was in October of 2000. That was in October of 2010. And by December, one of my roommates that I lived with at the time, he was also bigger as well. He would just go running in the morning, and that's all he'd do. He didn't change his diet at all. He didn't do anything special. He just started running. So and I could see him getting smaller. I could see him getting thinner. And you don't normally see that. When you live with somebody, you don't see that much of a change because you see them every day. But I was like, dude, he's like getting lean. All he's doing is run. And it was 20 minutes. It wasn't like a 7-mile run. It was 20 minutes. And I was like, all of a sudden competitive Matt kicked in. And I was like, well, he's big like me. And I bet if I start running every day and start eating right and start exercising, that I'm going to do that same thing too. And I'll do it faster and I'll do it better. And so January 1st, 2011.
So it's not like you hadn't heard of these things before.
Right.
Right.
No, I knew what to do.
Yeah.
And I would go to the gym occasionally. And I was always one of those guys who's like, I hate cardio. I hate running, And so I'd go lift like I was a football player, like I did in high school. So I wasn't unfamiliar with the gym.
Yeah.
But I just, January 1st, 2011, I walked into Gold's gym and I got on the treadmill and I put it on a full incline and I put it at a 3 and I walked for a half hour and I turned around and walked out of the gym. And January 2nd, I walked back into the gym, got back on the treadmill, did another half hour, turned around and walked out. January 3rd, January 4th, got to the point where I was doing a full hour on the treadmill at that speed. And then I got incline the whole time. And then after that, I went from a full hour of incline to a full hour of incline and a half hour on the bike to a full hour of incline, a full hour on the bike to a full hour of incline, full hour of bike, half hour in the pool, full hour, and then to full hour of incline, 4 hour of bike, full hour in the pool. So at the peak, I was doing 3 hours of cardio a day. And I lost 100 pounds in 5 months. And I said, competitive Matt wins again.
I see. Yeah. How did it turn out with your roommate there? Did you
we're not friends anymore.
No.
He stopped working out. And so he got married and got big. So, Wow. He's not too big. And he's one that will always go back to the gym and then start to lose a little weight, and then he'll get off track and whatever, back and forth. But so he's happily married. So,
but you were able to. It took that, something that was such a big part of your life.
Yeah.
A long time prior, years prior.
Yeah.
Still, it was inside you though.
Yeah.
And you were able to tap into it. Of course, a couple of steps in between.
Right.
But okay, well now you have the realization that this is not where I want to be.
Yeah.
Then tap into that competitive spirit.
And that's what it was. Like, because I had people, your health, do it for this, do it for that. Mm-hmm. There's nothing that drove me until I was like, oh no, I'm a competitor. So now I can just find something that I want to accomplish, like someone that I want to beat, and I can just do that. And I would do that in the gym. I would look at people like doing some like certain type of lift, and I'd be like, I like that. That looks like a cool lift. And I'm like, I want to do it better than them. Like I want to beat them at that lift. I want to be better than them. So then I would go and start doing that lift and getting the technique perfectly and getting everything right on it. And then I started to do it. So so I had lost the weight. I was 100 pounds down. So I went from 280 to 175. And I was like, okay, I'm good now. Like I look good. I'm confident. I feel great. And I went and got myself married, and I wasn't ready yet. I wasn't fixed yet. And she had her issues. I had my issues, and we were not gelling. We were not making it work together. And you know, we had a very ugly divorce, I feel. Not as bad as a lot of people. To me, it was ugly because I was in it. I was in the situation. A lot of people looking outside were like, you guys are very cordial with each other for two people that are getting divorced. And she was pregnant, and you know, that was added stress. But you know, when Madison was born, when our daughter was born, we were in the hospital, and of course, my family's trying to defend me, her family's trying to defend her, because it was fresh. It was our daughter was born the day after our papers legally said we were divorced. So it was fresh, and we were in the hospital, and I just said, you know what? It doesn't matter what happened. You're never going to agree with me with what I think happened, and I'm never going to agree with you what you think happened. I know I had some definitely growing to do, but so did she. And so I said, you know what? And none of that's important. What's important is that we take care of this little girl. And so her and I have never really had we've never come to like a closure of whose fault it was or what it really was, what the real issue was that caused our divorce. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Like, too many people try to focus on being right and being, you know, whatever. And it causes so much turmoil, and the kid ends up suffering from it. And we just decided we weren't going to do that. So, you know, that's why I say we're great co-parents. We don't get involved in each other's lives. You know, when she's dating somebody, all I can say to the guy is, be good to my daughter, be a good guy around my daughter, and we'll be fine. Like, that's all I care about, is that she's happy. So, you know, and I tell him, you're never going to have to be dad. You're not going to have to be the father, because I'll always be in her life. So just be good to her. Just love her and treat her good. And that's it. And I've never had any issues with boyfriends or anything like that. And, you know, she doesn't like get into my life. If I'm, you know, off doing something, she's not, you know, why aren't you with the daughter? Why aren't you with our daughter? Why are you doing this? You know, we trust each other. We trust each other to take care of our little girl, and we leave it at that. So this is a very long answer to your question. I told you I could talk. So after my divorce, I needed something, man. I couldn't hang out with like my married friends, because I was getting divorced. I couldn't hang out with my friends that had kids because I didn't have a kid yet. I couldn't hang out with my single friends because it just didn't feel right to be out in the dating scene or out in the party scene. It just didn't feel right yet. So I was just in this limbo of like, what do I do with my life? And I was like, you need some competition. You need to be competitive. You need a challenge. So I walked into Foley's gym here in Ogden, and I had known Foley in and out, because I was always a huge UFC fan. I was always a fan of fighting, and he is a pioneer in Utah. He is one of the pioneers of Utah MMA. He's the nicest guy in the world. I love him with all my heart. He opened his doors to me and said, "Come on in." And I just went in and started training. I just went in, and I was like, I'm not ever going to fight, but I'll train. So I was just learning how to box, and I was going there for probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And one of the coaches who was up in Cage, specifically MMA, who does MMA and has a team in MMA, his name's Pat Reeves, who is another absolute pioneer of Utah MMA. I mean, if you're involved with Utah MMA and you've been doing it for any time, you know his name, you've heard his name, you've seen him. It's just, that's who he was. And he saw me running around. I had like a heavy bag over my shoulder, and I was just getting some cardio stuff, and I was just running in circles on this little mat. And he's like, "Hey." I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, waves to me to come in. And he's like, "Get your ass in here. Come train." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "You're an athlete, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I played football." He's like, "Yeah, come train with us." It's like, okay. And they became family. and they became my brothers. That's where it started. Was I was in a spot in my life where I needed something. I just needed some competition, and they pulled me in. They literally just pulled me off the mat. Said, "Get your ass in here. Let's go."
That's really interesting to say that, because I mean, I'm thinking now as you're talking about it, for somebody that is not in high school, they're not in they're past college, they're an adult, right? They're out in the world.
In my 30s, I was 30. I was in my 30s when this began.
And for people that want a really deep level feeling of competition, where can they get that? You know?
At the MMA is one of them.
Precisely, like you think about like in other those other contexts, it's typically like a team sport. You have individual as well, but I think even unless you're trying to go for the Olympics or something, even then you got to be much younger. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Where there are not many other places for you to get that level of stakes. Yeah. Intent and just a requirement to push through. Yes. Than MMA.
You can imagine. We have a team. I have a teammate. His name's Eric Munoz, and I call him the War Dog. I'm like, dude, just anytime we say go, you're just like ready. Like he's the one he'll take a fight on 3 days' notice, and he'll just go fight. He's in his 40s. He's in his 40s. He started in his late 30s. He's only been doing it for a few years. You can imagine the sense of accomplishment he gets when he one-ups a 25-year-old. Like he was, military, grew up a Marine in the Marines. And, he just thought he was done after that. He thought his competition days were done. All of a sudden he picked up MMA, and he's going in there and he's fighting young kids and he's hanging with them. He's in the best shape of his life. Like you see, I post pictures of him on my social media all the time, and he's jacked and he's like 45 or something. Like he's old man, and he's just like, and I always crack jokes with me and him are the two oldest in our group, and I always crack jokes about how we're the oldest and the best looking in the group. But we got some it's that like you get to that point where you're like, what do I do? Like, how do I get that sense? And just go in and start throwing some punches. You'll be surprised of like how satisfying just training is. Just training. Don't even worry about taking a fight. Don't think UFC. Don't think Bellator. Don't think anything. Just go in and just like start training, and just that alone is. I mean, for me, it's enough. For me, that's enough.
Well, it's interesting because you came from a team environment, for being so long in football. Mm-hmm. Then coming to MMA, I mean, that's very much at least on the surface what people see. Particularly on TV, right? All we see are the two guys in the cage and the ring, etc. So you could almost look at it as, well, it's an individual kind of sport. Right. But that's not the way you're talking about it.
No, it's not. It's definitely not an individual sport. Like, I hate when people say that. It's not. Like, you are in there fighting by yourself, but it's the same as like a wide receiver. A wide receiver is out isolated going up against a corner. He's so I guess it's not an exact comparison because whatever, but like every sport has its individual aspect in it. And, but it takes a team to get you there no matter what. And so the fight in the cage is a very individual moment of your whatever your experience. Everything else is team. Your weight cut, you're sitting in the sauna with your teammates. At your diet, your teammates are checking in with you all the time. Like, as much as it's individual, it's more team. It is. You don't have a champion who doesn't have a great team behind him. It's just the way it is. So, you can look at it selfish. And if that's your thing, like if you're one of those people like, I want to do it alone, then yeah, there's so many aspects of it that you can be like, I'm on my own doing it. And you can get that fulfillment out of it. But if you still want a team, if you're a team player, if you're like, a very team driven person, like then MMA is still the same. It's still a team. It's absolutely a team.
I mean, even you see like these big names out there, the ones, that are headlining all over the place, right? And even though it's such that maybe out of their mouth from the press, it's all around them. It's the paparazzi is on that particular person.
Yeah.
Even that person knows, maybe it's not on the script for marketing for the event or whatever,
Right.
but even they know what you're talking about.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, for sure. I mean, if you don't, you're an asshole. Like that's like if you don't, you are a narcissist. If you think that it is all you, you're a narcissist. Like that guy in there, that dude in there that was yesterday grinding you up against the fence, wrestling you down, that ain't your team member making you better. You know? Like, no, if you honestly feel like you are an individual in this sport, you're a narcissist, you're full of yourself, and you need to get it figured out, because I would not want to train with anybody like that. My teammates know it's a team. And now we say before they're about to go in the ring, now this is your time. Now this is your time to shine. This is your time.
You know, we're not taking away from their
that
bit for them.
Right. When it's their time to shine, then it's their time to shine, and all of us are standing there behind them, watching them shine. But every moment in between then, no, you're my teammate. You're my teammate. I'm making you better. Without me, you're not going to get where you're going. Without him, you're not going to get where you're going. Without our coach, you're not going to get where you're going. It's just, and it's very much a team thing.
And I think that's something that can be quite intimidating for people that are maybe considering fight sports or just getting in, again, particularly if they're looking for some place to kind of, I don't say prove themselves, but to challenge themselves, right? And, they're looking at martial arts as a possible way to go with that. If they're not familiar with that kind of environment, all they're seeing is they're thinking, well, I'm not going to go in it because I don't want to be in there by myself. But that's not the case at all.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And I mean, we have new people come in all the time, and they only last one time, and I'm like, why? Like, we were so friendly to you. Like, I've stepped onto mats with people I've never met in my entire life, and they're always the nicest people in the world. Yeah. They don't want to scare you away, because the way I see it is, if you come in, you have any value, you have anything that you can teach us, anything you can give us, you make our team better. So why would I run you off? That's why I look at it, and I feel that maybe way other people look at it, because I've never stepped onto the mat with an ego. Like I said, I'll drive out. There's a jiu-jitsu gym that's like an hour and a half away from my house, and I'll go out there and train out there. And I just showed up one day. I just walked on. The instructor jumps off the mat, comes up, shakes my hand, introduces me, and then starts putting me with people. And he's like, okay, he's a good one to roll with because he's, newer and blah, blah, blah. And like, they're all giving me instructions, and everybody's super friendly and nice. Like, it's not intimidating. It's not like, I didn't know how to throw a punch when I got into it. And, you could have been intimidated. I could have been intimidated watching them and been like, and I was, but I didn't let it scare me away. It's going to be intimidating no matter what. These dudes know how to fight. They're trained like, I hate to say killers, but they're trained artists, and it's intimidating. But I mean, lots of things in life are intimidating. Just get over it. You just do it anyways. Then it stops becoming intimidating. Right.
Let me ask you about that then, because I mean, you say, okay, I'm going to go into this, start with MMA. It looks like a good place for me to be. I mean, it had been quite a while since you even, did karate. And even then, as you reflect back on it, well, this is not really, even if you just watch TV, and you're not even training yourself, and you look back on the things that you were learning as a kid, you can see there's a difference there. Right?
Yeah.
So what was that process for you in terms of just getting into, like, kind of that competitive area and actually something that's going to be much more effective for you? Was that a bit of a learning curve for you, or how did that work?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my fighting style, when I didn't get comfortable back into like my karate roots until after my first fight. My first fight came real quick. And so, it was like, I was just a brute. In my first fight. I just was walking straight forward, just throwing bombs to the head only. I think I threw like one kick to the body. It was like, and so like, I wasn't comfortable in the ring. And that's the thing, is you need to get to the point where you're comfortable in the ring. And that's when I was able to reflect back on my karate and be like, oh, I actually like my stance like this. And I turn a lot more and, and have more of my front leg forward. It was just like, it was and then even after, like, so I fought southpaw, and I'm right-handed, but I fight southpaw. And that always, when I first walked into the gym, they're like, no, and I knew, because I'd taken a few boxing classes, and my trainer then was like, I think you're a southpaw. And so when I walked in and said I'm a southpaw, they're like, well, what hand do you write with? And I'm like, listen, I'm not an idiot, okay? I know that I should be an orthodox fighter, but I'm a southpaw fighter. Right. Let me throw some combos, let me throw some stuff, and you tell me. Yes. And then they're like, oh, okay, yeah, you're a southpaw. So it probably took another year after. So I went, traditional, just brute, walking straight forward, throwing punches, to more of a karate stance. And then it took me about another year after that before I decided I wanted to be a fighter that could go both ways. And so now I fight orthodox and southpaw. And so I'll just move like hopefully seamlessly between the two stances. But it took me 2 years to even get comfortable to step my left foot forward. So, the learning curve is it's always there.
There, huh?
I went from being like no takedowns, no ground game, to I love the ground game now. That's my favorite. So when I go in and train you now, like, I'm going to hit you a little bit, and then I'm going to single leg takedown, and I'm just going to shoot for it because it's sitting right there. Because you're normally orthodox and I'm southpaw, so your leg is sitting right there for me. And so, and that's my big part of my game now is takedowns. Like, I love going to the ground. I'm not afraid to go to the ground with anybody. So that's my bread and butter. And so it helps because a lot of fighters here in Utah are former wrestlers. So it helps my teammates that I've developed that fight style and that I love it so much, because it helps them to just constantly be defending a takedown constantly. And, so, again, it was one of those things that is lucky I got good at it quick, and I learned how to do it quick because it has benefited my teammates, more than me just, learning how to throw punches.
Yeah. Well,
because everyone else is throwing punches.
You said that your first fight came pretty quick. Were you looking for a fight?
Nope. My coach said, hey, I got a fight for you if you want it. And I was like, come on, man. I don't want to fight. And he's like, come on, you can win. Come on. He's like, just do it. Just take a fight. And I was like, all right, let's do it.
Because at that point, you'd found your family, you found your team.
Yeah.
You're getting kind of your competitive fix just even in that environment.
Yeah.
You didn't really need.
No, I didn't need it.
You didn't have a need for the fight.
No, but I trusted them, and they wanted me to do it. So I was like, whatever. It's not going to kill me.
Yeah.
Like, I hate when people say, I hate when people say we could die in there. Well, yeah, you could die in there. You could, but you're not going to. So stop acting like you're putting your life on the line every time you step in there. Like, at that, really, I get so mad every time I hear a fighter say that. They're like, we could die. Well, like, yeah, you could die stepping out of your house and falling down the stairs. You could die. I'm not going to say you're not, but you're probably not going to die. So stop being afraid of that. And so, like, I was like, I'm not going to die. I'll go and I'll fight. What, I win or lose? I'm 30 years old. No one cares if I lose. It's my first fight. They probably expect me to lose anyways. Like, I had nothing to lose to go into my first fight. So I was just like, whatever, I'll just go in and do it. And it was like, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I will love it. I didn't know that I wasn't going to love that as much as I loved the training, because I hadn't done it yet. So I didn't know the experience I was going to get from it until I actually got in and did it. So I was like, well, you think I can win? Let's go. Let's suit up. Let's do this. So,
you're just open to the experience.
Yeah. What if I fell in love? What if it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me and I just fell in love with it? And and then that's how I focused. And, I was in the UFC, like, what if you don't know until you try things, I was like, I know I kind of don't like getting punched in the face, but maybe in that situation, I won't mind it as much. There's things I knew that I wouldn't like about it, but, I hadn't experienced that. I never experienced being in front of all those people, performing solo at that moment, and just that experience. So why not?
What was that like for you? Like, actually coming into the ring, your first bout, people watching, I mean,
I don't know. Someone else took over my brain that day and drove it, was at the helm, because, I imagined I was going to just be so scared and so nervous and there was nerves, but I was pretty damn calm. I was pretty damn relaxed and just like, okay, here we go. Like, I'm either going to win or I'm going to lose. And that was kind of just my mentality the whole, like, I didn't put any too high of expectations on myself going in there. I was like, man, I know I work my ass off. I know that I'm grinding. I know that I'm putting in more work than this guy. I know that I am. So I don't see how he can beat me unless he catches me with something. If he catches me with something, that doesn't mean he's better than me. It just means he caught me. So that was kind of my just mentality. So then I just kept that going. Like, anytime I started to get little like fearful, I just thought, like, I can sit here and think, well, what if I lose? But I can also sit here and think, well, what if I win? And so that was kind of like, okay, what if he catches me with an uppercut? What if I catch him with an uppercut? What if he hits me with an overhand? What if I hit him with an overhand? What if he chokes me out? What if I choke him out? So like every time I thought something negative, I would just think, well, what if I did, think the exact opposite positive? And that really helped. That really helped me. And I've developed that mentality with everything I do now. And so you start to think negative a lot less when you do that, because that you're just going to meet it with a positive right after. So you just skip the negative and just go straight to the positive, because you're going to end on a positive anyways. And so a lot of things I do now, especially with developing this business, I'm just like, well, what if they say no? Well, what if they say yes? That, what if I ask this, person to do my podcast and they say no? What if they say yes? So, it's just like, that was the mentality I went into my fight. And it served me well, because I went in and I had very few nerves. Of course there was nerves. Of course there was. But I wasn't scared. And typically in my life, something like that would have scared me. But I wasn't. I was just like, here we go.
Did change in environment make much of a difference? I mean, it's different when you're in the ring in your gym versus, I don't know, how many people watching, and, there's like,
yeah, it was
formalities
a lot
and that type of stuff.
We fought in a boxing ring instead of a cage. So I've only trained in a cage, and then we were in a boxing ring. So that definitely changed my game plan, because my game plan was to walk him down, put him up against the fence, single leg takedown, get on top, ground him down.
Nope.
They're not a cage. You don't shoot single leg takedowns unless you're really good at them. Yeah. So yeah, it really changed my game plan. But I mean, game plans are only good till you get punched in the face, then everything goes out the window anyways. So I just, I thought, man, we're fighting. It's going to be a fight. We're going to throw punches. Doesn't matter where it's at. And so the environment, it was cool. Like, yeah, it was cool to have all those people watching me. And to have I had a bunch of friends there, a bunch of fans, and, I had, it was a great experience. And after, the environment was awesome, because everyone was like patting me on the back, being like, you guys had the fight of the night, and buying us drinks. And so like that was fun. But just the going from in the ring to the actual fight, for me, it wasn't that. I mean, like I said, there's always a little nerves. There's always some scariness to it, but there really wasn't that much of a change, just because the mentality I was walking into it with. I imagine if I allowed myself to be more fearful, then I would have been blown out of proportion with the whole thing. I would have been like, this is the UFC, Instead, it was just like, nah, man, you're just fighting this guy like you do your training partners all the time. Like, that's what you guys do.
Let's talk a bit. I know we're getting towards the end here, and we could talk for.
I told you,
ever, dude. Well, I mean, I want to know more, but I mean, I wanted to touch on this at least though, because I mean, we're talking a lot about like your journey in there, around and back into the ring. But what are you talk about some of the stuff you alluded to some of the stuff you're doing outside, particularly you talked about motivational talks that you give.
Yeah,
but I know that you're doing other things as well. Give us a taste about what that is going. What's happening with all that?
Basically, so as I guess the two things that I've touched on is that like physically, I do more than a lot of people. Like physically, I when I put my mind to something I want to do, I do it. And I don't think that's something that is unique to me. I think it's just a mindset that I've developed through my life. And so I keep telling people like, you lost 100 pounds in 5 months. That's crazy. You're so awesome. And I'm like, no. I'm not special. You can do this. You can do it. I don't have any genetic makeup that makes me better than you. I just put my mind to it. And so I felt like I can teach that. I can put that in other people. Like, I feel like I can teach people how to think differently. I can teach people how to look at life differently. Just like I was talking about the fight, like it was my first fight and I was pretty damn calm going in there. And a lot of stuff like I've been doing now in my life, people are like, what, how do you do that? And I'm like, I have a different way to think. And I feel like you can teach it. And so I feel like I can help other people be successful. So I started originally just with doing motivational speaking. I literally just called up high schools and was like, hey, I'm a motivational speaker. Like, I never even done it. I just told them, hey, I'm a motivational speaker. I want to come talk to your kids. Tell them how to, like, go after stuff what they want in their life. And a couple teachers were like, yeah, come on out. And they just brought me out. And so I developed a whole PowerPoint presentation. I had all the pictures of me being fat, and I had pictures of me doing the fight. And then, I just go and talk to these kids about, like, if you want something, you just got to work for it. If you just want something, you got to work for it. But you got to have the mentality that you're going to get it. You have to have the mentality that has to go along with it, that all the work you're putting in, no matter what, it's going to pay off eventually. So I started doing that, and then I wanted to turn that into more of a physical thing. So I started doing personal training for athletes. And so I would meet with these athletes, and I would do the training for them, and I would just get into their brains. And while I'm working with them, and it was more talking than working out, because you give them a few drills, they can do those at home. But I really wanted to get in their mindset and change the way that they think. And that turned into me deciding I wanted to make it more scalable. So I built a website for speed and agility for athletes. And so, but then that was like, that was more physical. So I wanted to get back into the mental part of it. So I started the podcast, and then it all just came full circle. I had been pushing the podcast I've been pushing my old podcast for a while, and then I stopped doing it because I had a co-host that just couldn't meet with me anymore. And so I wanted to do a new podcast. I went out, found a producer, and we started putting the podcast together. So we were using the podcast to promote the site as a combo. So you have the mental and the physical. But then we met with this company called Athletic Republic down in Lehigh, and they specifically focus on speed and agility. And it's a lot for like the youth. It's a lot for like the younger people. But that's what they say. And they have, like, if you look their Instagram or anything, they have a ton of young kids. But I was like, anybody who hasn't done speed and agility, it's new to them. Anybody who hasn't done any of these workouts, it's new to them. So it's not just for young. It's for the development of speed and agility. And I told them, I was like, I can open up the MMA community to you guys, which is huge. That they like these, like, they're starting to do it now. You're seeing it a lot if you watch like the embedded episodes or anything like that the UFC puts out for promotion. Or if you follow any fighter on Instagram, like a pro fighter that does it full time, they all have a speed and agility coach that isn't like a MMA guy. It's like a former football player or something. They are all going to speed and agility because you need it. You need it in order to be an athlete and to take your game to the next level. So I went out there and met these guys in Lehigh, and I just said, I want to team up with you guys. I want to partner up with you guys because you guys have, like, I can do that. I can teach speed and agility drills, but that's not my passion. My passion is the mental part of it, getting inside the brain, talking, teaching you, getting you to the point where you want to go and do those drills, getting you to the point where you're obsessed and you're psycho like I am about going and doing the drills every single day. That's what I want to focus on. And so we teamed up with them. We just shook hands, made the deal like 2 days ago. So I can't talk too much about what we got in store, but we're building a platform to be able to teach these developmental years, the developmental years of speed and agility, which means we get to work with kids a ton And I've been going out working with kids, just doing my motivational speaking and speed and agility drills with them for 3 or 4 years now. So now I'm going to team up with these guys, and it's only going to get better. But yeah, I mean, I coached football for over a decade. I mean, coaching, helping people be better athletes, I guess, has just always been my bread and butter. It's always what I've gone to. So, yeah.
Awesome, man. Wow. We're gonna have to come back because I would love to dig more into what you're talking about there. Just there's the physical aspect of it, but we find for most things, it's not the physical is not the issue.
Right.
It's the heart and mind.
Right.
And how can you not only capture it for other people, but get it even for yourself. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is, I mean, getting it for yourself is the number one. I mean, everything that we've talked about today was me eventually just being like, okay, I got to do it. I got to go do it, and it's a mentality that I have, that I think people can learn it. I've had a few athletes that I've worked with that I've been like, okay, you're getting it now. You're getting it. And, so I think it's you're able to learn. I don't think there's anything special about me. I think that the special thing about me is that I figured it out. The special thing about me that's inside of me is that I figured it out quickly. I guess quickly. I'm 33 now, but I figured it out reasonably quickly. But I don't think that. I mean, I wasn't genetically different. I wasn't born genetically different. There's not a more drive in my brain than other people's. I just learned how to access it, and I think I can help other people do that. So that's where the goal is now, is to do that.
Yeah, Matt Oyler, this was awesome, man. We're definitely doing this again. But
thank you for having me. I'll come back anytime you want, man.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Oh shoot! No, but before we roll out though, dude, people are gonna want to know more about you.
Okay.
So how can they get more of you?
They can follow me on my podcast, the Undefeated by Choice podcast. It's on YouTube right now. After we get to 15, 16 episodes, we'll put it on iTunes and everything. But right now it's on YouTube. So the Undefeated by Choice podcast, that's where I am every week.
Folks, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Matt. Like I said, he is just a bundle of positive energy, and I'm really looking forward to having him back. It's just contagious. As always, any links or contact information mentioned in the show are going to be in the show notes, so go ahead and check those out if you need. But that's it for today. We'll see you next time on the Everyday Fighter podcast.